Hello, everyone. Okay, my name is Shameka.britton. I'm a real estate agent with Exit Realtor Diversified. And today I want to talk to you guys about the home buying process. So today in the home buying process, we are going to talk about the home inspection. All right, so I'm going to show you guys something real quick, and then we're going to talk about where we are in the process. So in your home buying process, there are going to be several things that you will do as a buyer. All right, so talking to my buyers today. So number one, of course, you're going to get your real estate professional, which would be me. I'm your real estate agent. And then from there, we would get the pre-approval, search for homes, and make an offer. So now you have an offer on the table, and we're super excited. But here is the steps that we're really going to have, some timelines that we're going to have to stick to. And there's a few things that me as your real estate agent will take you through, a couple of things we're going to have you do, okay? So one of the things we do, we're going to look right here where it talks about negotiations and contracts. All right, so if you look here, it talks about the contract, right? So as a part of that offer, I put together a contract for you. And a part of that contract we put together is going to talk about your right to an inspection, which is going to be a contingency. So you're putting this offer in contingent upon certain things happening or you liking a certain things that happen in the process. So for one, it's going to be your home inspection. So today we're going to talk about inspections and what does that mean and that process. So thank you so much for tuning in to my home buying series. We kind of break down each of these processes as relates to being a homeowner. So today, as far as home inspection, let me tell you a little bit about my process when we're doing home inspections, or and the process you will take as my buyer. So once we get to this spot and we put in our offer has actually at this point been accepted, right? So we have an accepted offer, but the work is not all done. A part of that offer it's going to be some timelines, and we're going to say in that offer how many days in which we're going to have that home inspection completed by, which is very important. All right, so we're going to tell them in so many days we're going to have this home inspection done. So what is a home inspection and what does that mean? There are several different inspections that you can have done in the process, but today we're going to talk about the home inspection. So a home inspection is basically where we will get a licensed professional to come in and look at the property in detail, and they're going to provide us with a report. All right, so in just a few minutes, I'm going to have one of my home inspectors that I've used in the past come on, and he's going to give us more details on what he looks for as a home inspector. But before that, here's what I would do for you, okay? So what I do is I'm going to send you a list of about 3 home inspectors. I'm going to call them and see if they're available within our time frame. Because remember, time is of an essence, right? So we have a contract we've just that's been accepted. In so many days, we have to have the home inspector selected, and we need to have the home inspection scheduled and completed by a certain amount of time. So what I would do is contact them to first see when are they available, what is the first availability. And when I get a couple, it may be a list of 2 or 3 inspectors, I will send them to you along with the prices that they have, price per square foot or their total price. And at that point, you have an option to select which home inspector that you will be using today for that particular inspection. I will communicate with the sellers to ensure that the date and time that they're wanting is a good date, and that the date and time that we've selected, that they're able to accommodate those times. So those are some things that your real estate agent would do for you in the process, just really making sure that we coordinate the home inspection and making sure that those things are scheduled appropriately. I would also talk to you as my buyer about the different type of inspections. We'll do a termite, do you want a radon inspection? And I would have our home inspector discuss that so you can know what that is. And then also the home inspection. And if there's anything else that comes up that you have questions about, you have rights to inspections for those things, okay? All right, so without further ado, what I'm going to do now is pull in our home inspector today, and he's going to give us his perspective on home inspectors and some things that he looks for, okay? So let's admit Mr. Jim. All right. So thank you so much. Hello. Hello, Jim. Thank you so much for joining us today. Go ahead and introduce yourself for my buyers.
Everybody, my name is Jim Rudiger. I'm the owner of Galaxy Property Inspection I'm located in Laverne, but I cover the entire greater Nashville area.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jim, for doing this and giving your perspective. So one of the things I wanted you to share with everyone is truly, first, tell us a little bit about home inspections. What is required for you to really become a home inspector to make you qualified? Not qualified, we know you are, but what's the qualifications to do this work and really be able to provide that information to the buyer?
So to become a home inspector in the state of Tennessee, you have to complete a minimum of 190 hours, 90 to 120 hours of training. That's the bare minimum. You have to pass a national exam that every home inspector in the country who is licensed has to pass. And you have to obviously have insurance, which is both liability insurance and then error and omission insurance. So without those things, Tennessee will not give you a license.
Yeah, thank you so much. And so what I want you to share with us really and truly is, I get asked this question all the time. So what exactly is the home inspector going to do? So can you share with us some things that you do and some things you really look at, when you're completing your home inspection?
So for a buyer's inspection, my job is to work for the client that hires me. And I come out and I will look at the site that the home is on, as far as the vegetation and grading. I will look at the roof. I will look at the exterior. I will look at the electricity, all the electrical components and the systems within the house and the structure of the house. I will climb up in the attic and look at the underlayment and the insulation and the trusses and collar ties and things like that to make sure everything is good to go based on, I'd say it's a visual inspection. I'll also get down into the crawl space, that sometimes can be dirty and spider infested, but I'm looking at the floor joists. I'm looking at insulation that's under there, vapor barriers and the foundation. And I'm really taking a very hard look at the house and I will write down every deficiency that I find. Now, some deficiencies are small, some deficiencies are major, but as a home buyer who's going to spend the next, 20, 30 years paying for a house, it is my job to make sure you know what you are buying, and so my inspection is incredibly thorough. It's very detailed. And then I will go over it with the buyer and show you, all right, this is a laundry list of all the things that I found that are wrong with the house. Some of those things can be small, but some of those things, the buyer's agent, this would be you, you can go back and sometimes there's renegotiating that has to be done because, I find some major things wrong with the house and you don't want to, the last thing a buyer wants to do is buy a money pit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why it's so important to get an inspection. So, I guess one of the questions I'm often asked is can the buyer come with you while you're doing the inspections? Is the buyer welcome to join you during that process?
With some home inspectors, they actually don't want the buyer there. They want to focus on what they're doing. I'm just the opposite. I want the buyer there. It's the buyer. The buyer's the one that's making this investment. So again, I work for the buyer. So I want the buyer there, or I want the buyer's agent there, or both, so that the buyer can ask questions. As I find things wrong, I can point it out. Now, again, some things are not a big deal. Some things are a big deal. So I want to have that discussion. And it's a great way for the client to ask questions about the home, ask questions about the appliances, about the HVAC, about the electricity. They can with me, they can ask as many questions as they want, and I will answer all of them, because the more you know, you can make a better informed decision about whether or not do I want to buy this house or not. Because sometimes the inspection is such that the buyer says, you know what, there are too many problems, and they walk away. And that's a good decision to make in that case. Whereas other times, I might find 20 or 30 or 40 deficiencies with a house, but nothing that would be a deal killer. And so those are the kinds of things that a buyer, needs to have an informed decision before they sign the dotted line. Because once you close, you own it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And lastly, Jim, is there anything in particular, one more question I did want to ask you actually was about radon. That oftentimes we ask them if they would like to get a radon inspection. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown about the radon inspection and what that entails?
So I am radon certified, and I have a very expensive radon machine that I can bring into a house and I can test for radon. Now, radon itself is actually harmless to you. It's a myth. Okay, radon is actually harmless. However, when radon comes out of the ground, it breaks down, and it breaks down into several different substances, two of which, if you inhale, can cause cancer. Right? So it's when radon breaks down. So the question is, when it comes out of the ground, does it have some place to go? I always, believe it or not, if a house has a crawl space, a lot of times I don't recommend getting a radon inspection because it's going to come out and it has places to go rather than come up into the house. If a house is slab on grade, I always recommend a radon inspection, right? Because radon is always present. It's all around us, and it's just something that you should know. Is my house at a potential risk or not? Sometimes with new construction, oftentimes here in Tennessee, they're actually just going ahead and putting in passive radon systems built right into the house. And again, without a home inspection, you might not know that that system even exists, right? So it's a good thing to ask questions about it and to know that it's there. And if you're buying a house that's slab on grade, it's a good idea to get a radon test here in Middle Tennessee.
Okay, very good. Good. And that's one, I know that's an inspection that we often ask. Again, as a buyer, you have a choice, but definitely these are good things to keep in mind when you're thinking about what inspections to get. And so thank you so much, Jim. Is there any other advice you would like to give to the buyer today?
The biggest advice that I can give any buyer is get involved. The home inspection is not a necessary evil. Right? The home inspection is something where I'm coming in and trying to help the buyer make a good decision. So get involved with the process, ask questions. Don't just say, okay, I'll just let the inspector do it and just tell me if it's okay. Right? You want to really be involved in the process just as much as a realtor is involved in the process. We are here to help a client, find the right home. And that's what it's all about. It's finding the right home, not just finding a home.
Right.
So you want to find a home that is structurally okay, the systems are okay, and financially, you're making a good decision.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much for doing this for us. And so just to kind of close us out on our next step. So after you have your home inspection with your inspector and you get to visit, again, I will meet you at the site. You can, like he said, most home inspectors are okay with you kind of coming early if you want to walk around with him and ask questions. But me as your real estate agent, I always join you guys at the end and we review the report together. Because it's really helpful for me to get the information from the home inspector's mouth, because when you look at the report, I need to make sure I understand really what we need to be asking for and make sure you understand so we're on the same page. Once we have the report back from the home inspector, and we look at that together, and me and you as a buyer would have a discussion on what's important to you. It's different for everyone, because let's say, for instance, my dad is really good at, fixing bathrooms. So if there's an issue in a bathroom, that might not be a big deal for you, but maybe another issue is a big deal for you. So it's really you, the buyer, who would determine what the deal breakers are and what you want to renegotiate for. And then at that point, it really is based on the terms of the contract. But we will get back together at that point and we will have a great discussion about what our next step is. And then if you want to continue to move forward, if we need to renegotiate for whatever reason, and we would do what's called a repair request. And so, that puts us back into our negotiation process. And so I wanted to make sure that you were fully educated, understand the process that we're in right now, which is talking about the home buying process. This is talking about our home inspection. All right. So thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much for Jim, again, thank you so much for doing this. And we really appreciate it. So listen, if you have any questions about the home buying process, please reach out to me. It's shameka.britton. You can find me at NashvilleFabLiving.com. Have a wonderful day. And again, thank you so much, Jim, for this recording. All right. Thank you. Bye.